Hey you guys, welcome to my channel. Welcome to another episode of this Piscean Reports. How are you guys doing this afternoon? Hopefully you are having a terrific day. We are in Cancer. Is it Cancer season? I think. Let me see. From June to July. June to July. Yeah, Cancer season. So happy birthday to all the Cancerians out there. I have a little Cancer myself. I've got a little crab of my own. So yeah, happy birthday, you guys. I hope you're having a wonderful day. Okay. So I'm going to do two separate videos, and so this video here is it's a part two, if you will, to the video that I showed yesterday because I had to go to work and I didn't really get a chance to give you guys that last little bit that I didn't really get to say as much as I wanted to say about it. So I just wanted to give it to you real quick, and then I'll go ahead and do the other video. So yesterday I was talking about, there's two things that I wanted to touch on. The first one, before I forget, is I was talking about how you cannot run a country. I was talking about how, like, there are higher ups, there are people, that are sitting around somewhere and they are playing with our lives. They're so powerful and they're so bored that they all get together and they have conversations, and then they say, okay, and we're going to make things happen, and they do, and and it's unbelievable that happens, but it is what it is, right? But I did want to say this, and I said it yesterday, and I just want to reiterate today real quick that no, you cannot, you absolutely positively cannot run a country like it's a corporation, okay? Because there are some aspects of our society that you cannot do that, because and when I talked about education, at the center of education is a heart. Okay, that's not in a corporation. The heart, it is what is needed in education, because you need these amazing teachers, these beautiful, wonderful, amazing souls, and all they want to do is share their knowledge with your children, with your loved ones, to impart with them wisdom, impart with them gifts, talents. I want to teach your child how to read. I want to teach your child how to write. I want to teach your child. I don't know what they're doing in schools these days, particularly what just popped into my head is kindergarten. And I remember, when I being in kindergarten, and your teacher, does these songs, and we all do the songs, and we do the things, and then we do the this, and we do the thing. You know what I mean? All these cute little things that made school, that made school fun. Taking that, stripping the awesomeness of your teacher away from them and saying, follow this curriculum. The corporation needs you to follow this curriculum here. And it doesn't work. It doesn't work because the curriculum has no heart. The teacher does. The educator does, and it blows my mind that they're trying to do this. Oh, the child didn't learn. That's okay. Send them to the next level. That mindlessly, heartlessly send them to the next level, and then they get up there, and then there's that teacher who wants to impart what your child needs to learn in that level, based on that age, based on that level, and then to have that, they don't even have the basics of the first level yet, and here they are, now they got to try to know this one, but they needed some of those basics to go in, to take this one and take it to the next level. Like, you see what I mean? It's insane. They are robbing our children of something so precious and so amazing. And then I talked about the hospital, and at the center of every hospital is, at the core, is the heart. The love that do you have any idea? I couldn't do it. So when I I think nursing is the most honorable profession. Like, truly, it's an honorable profession because it takes a lot of heart to say, I am put on this earth to care for your loved ones. I am here to help ease their suffering. I'm here to help ease their sickness, their sorrow, their agony, their pain, their whatever. I'm here for that. I'm here to help clean them up. They're just coming out of surgery and they need someone to wipe them down and clean them up. That's insane. That you really have to love your job. You really have to love wanting to help another individual get well. You see what I mean? The incredibleness of that. And the doctors themselves, the love. Can you imagine the love that it takes to say, as soon as someone comes in an emergency situation, I got this. We're going to keep this soul on this planet. We're going to keep this soul alive. Me and my team. We're going to keep this person alive. We're going to keep them well. We're going to, I'm going to use my hands, my God-given talents to heal. That is an insanely honorable profession. And these corporations, you cannot just go in and say, okay, we need the nurses to only do this. You need to meet these quotas at the end of the day, and you have to do this, you have to do that, and to have the nurses, their higher ups, their managers, their head staff, the ones that they go to and say, I need this, and can you help me with that? And they go, yeah, and then they go in to now tell them, to force the ones that they need to turn to tell them that you need to tell them they're not meeting this metric and they're not meeting this chart and this graph and this, this quota. They need to do this here. Forget love, forget care, forget taking care of. This is what we need you to do. And it blows my mind. So corporations, just whoever is doing this, because clearly this is what's happening in our country. Okay, there are people who are thinking that they've tried everything else, right? And so they're out of ideas. And so someone argued the point that if we just do everything in such a way, everything will run smoothly and perfectly, and it's not. It's not. It's destroying us. It's killing us. And then they're adding in, AI and all this technology that's supposed to help us, but we see it's not. It's destroying us. The more technology we introduce into this world, it seems like the worse it's getting, because I don't know what they're thinking. Are you guys like me? Because here's my thing. Let's say they do this. Everything, they've got all this stuff set in place. Now, you got all these people out of work. I don't know what they're thinking. I don't know what they're thinking. If someone doesn't have a job and they can't buy your groceries and they can't buy your gas and they can't pay their bills, they can't, pay you rent for these houses out here, and they can't pay for the boats, or they can't pay for the education, or they can't pay. Like, are y'all not, I don't know how they're not seeing this. How do you not see that? If everybody is out of work, if so many are out, y'all definitely ain't gonna try to, put them on no kind of public assistance. God forbid, right? And it's blowing my mind. It's blowing my mind. So when I, just that whole concept, whoever is sitting around somewhere and they're convinced that this is gonna work, it's not gonna work. It's just not going to work. It's destroying us. Get rid of the whole AI thing. That is a nightmare in itself. That's one thing. It's a nightmare. And to take out the heart out of things that need the heart. The education system and the medical system, the medical industry, and you know what I mean? All these things, they need this. They need it. So just whoever's sitting around thinking that that's going to work, y'all need to sit down and rethink that, because everything is just becoming an unmitigated disaster. Okay, there's that. Now, the other thing that I wanted to finish up on is when I was talking to you guys about, Those young people who are sitting around and they're thinking that they don't need to read and learn how to write, and you see these videos online of people who are graduating and they don't know how to read and write. And I was begging you guys, and I'm telling you, I wanted to speak on that again, and I wrote down, there's several reasons. Obviously, there's so many reasons, but I wanted to just kind of give you a couple of these, and then we're gonna move on from that. And these are just tiny things. There's millions of reasons why you need to know to read and write, but these just was a couple of things I was thinking about. For now, here's the thing. I will say this first and foremost: everyone, I don't care what your race is, everyone needs to know how to read and write, because the ability to read and write is the ultimate gift. It's the ultimate gift. It really is. I know y'all don't think that and you don't see it, but trust and believe. Now, I want to say this real quick before I get back to that. The reason I say it is the ultimate gift, and I want to address this to Black America. I want you to consider, and this is what's really, really, really blowing my mind more than anything. Particularly, I'm shocked to see anybody of any race just being so lackadaisical about, reading. Oh, I don't need to read and write. It ain't that serious, and I don't need to know it. And I got my phone, and I got, and da 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 da, and they're blowing it off. But what's really blowing my mind is when I see Black Americans who are graduating and you don't know how to read and write, and I want you to consider, really consider. And here's what's killing me. There's some people, I've heard people say on the internet, they refer to them as maybe blackity black, blackity black, all right? There are some who are, all about, my ancestors and we went through and blah, 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 and I need and you have and we deserve and da, 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 da. These same people are just blowing off the greatest gift known to man. The greatest gift. I want you to consider your ancestors, your slave ancestors. I want you guys, and this is what's blowing my mind. It's are you not thinking? Are you not thinking? Ask yourself that. I want you to think back to your ancestors who would give their right arm to be in your position right now. Really think about that. They would have given their right arm to their world, to be able to be you, to be able to just wake up and say, what do I want to do today? You can do whatever you want to do. If you're in America, you can do whatever you want to do. You can wake up and go have breakfast. I think I'll have breakfast. I think I won't. I think I'll shower. I think I'll wait. I think I can go to the store. I think I'll do this. Do I want to go to the movies? Maybe I just want to listen to some music. And maybe. You have unlimited options on what you can do with your day. They would give their right arm for that. Okay, and this is what makes it, taking it even a step heavier than that. They would have given anything to be able to read. They would have been given anything to be able to read and write. Do you have any idea how important that is? Particularly if you are Black, because your ancestors didn't have that. Okay, and these slave owners wanted them like that. They didn't want them to know how to read and how to write, because reading and writing equals freedom. It's freedom. When you know how to read and write, the world is your oyster. You can go anywhere you want to go. You can do anything you want to do, because if you know how to read and write, you can advance. You can advance. You don't just have to stay on the main level, the bottom floor. When you can read and write, you can learn and you can know, and you can go to the next level of knowledge and the next level of knowledge and the next and the next and the next. They would have given the world to be in your position. And to see people just casually throwing away the world's greatest gift. It is blowing my mind. It's blowing my mind. Do not take that for granted. Don't do it. Okay? When you do that, you are at the mercy. When you choose to just don't read and write, you are at the mercy of the world. You are at the mercy of the powers that be. Okay? Let's say, and I thought about this. Let's say you say, well, you know what, I don't need to read and write. It ain't that serious. Let's say one day you have a child. And whoops, your child has specific needs. They're going to need certain medications. You need to know how to pronounce those medications. You need to know how to spell those medications because God forbid there's some kind of emergency, right? And the power goes out somewhere. There's some kind of something. You don't even got to be your child. It could be your mother, your father, your elderly parents. And you need to know how to read their medications. They didn't tell you. You just know they're on medication. And God forbid you go to visit them one day and something happens and they hit the floor and you don't know how to tell the 911, they were taking this medication. What do I do? And none of that. You not see the insane importance of knowing how to read and write. Don't throw that away. Don't throw that away. What are you doing? I feel like, and like I said, all people, everyone, every race should know how to read and write. Okay, you absolutely should, but particularly Black Americans need to hold that one thing with such reverence because your ancestors didn't have it. And they couldn't have those things. And they couldn't, and because they didn't, they were forced to just work out in the field because they don't know how to read, they don't know how to write, they don't know where to go, they don't know what to do, they didn't know anything. You do. You have that opportunity. You wake up every day. You can decide where you want to go. You can decide what you want to do and do it. And think about that. Like really understand the seriousness of this and the importance of it. Reading is paramount. Reading and writing, education is paramount. Your world opens up. The more you know, the more your world opens up. The more you can grow. The further you can go. Don't take that for granted. Do not take education for granted. I know a lot of people like to goof off in school and F around and play, but you are robbing yourself. You are under the assumption that, I don't have my other phone, you're under the assumption that these phones will always be here. And do not do that. Do not assume. Never assume. Okay? Because, and I'm going to tell you this, don't assume because here's a perfect reason. Here's a perfect example of why you should never assume. Okay? We all assumed that the American dream was alive and well. Okay? We all assumed that we would all just automatically go to school and then go to high school and then we would graduate and we would just get jobs and we would have families and we could go places and do things. We all assumed that we could do that. And you see now that that is not the case. Don't assume. Do not assume that these phones will always be here because you don't know. You don't know what can happen. You really don't. And you don't want to put yourself in a position where your phone is your crutch. You don't want to put yourself in that position because, like I said, God forbid, somehow, for some reason, something happens and phones are no longer available. They're deciding tomorrow we're not going to use phones anymore. Maybe they could wake up tomorrow and say, you know what? We have now decided in this world that these phones are more of a hindrance than a help. So we're getting rid of all the phones. And if you are that one who already graduated and you're an adult and you were so used to just being able to tap and ask and do and you know what I mean and hit the hit the map quest and you could go somewhere and you didn't have to question and it would tell you to go left and right and this and that. You didn't have to bother learning how to read the signs, street signs. The thing would tell you. If they take all of that away from you, what are you going to do? Don't put yourself in that position. Those of you who are young, don't assume that these things will always be here because you don't know. We assume that the American dream is alive and it's not. Okay? We assumed, there were people back in the day who assumed slavery would be here forever. You see what I'm saying? Like, it's insane. It is insane. Okay, the ability to read and write, like I said, is a precious gift. It's empowering. You're able to have more. You're able to move freely. You're able to do that, okay? And don't sell yourself short. Don't do that. Have this, the phone, like I said, the technology should just only be, it should only be a bonus. It's just a plus, you know? And I love that I can read. I went to the library today and I sat there. I'm able to read and write. I'm able to write this stuff down. I'm able to think about what I want to say and put pen to paper or pencil to paper so I don't forget. And so I can do this. Imagine taking that away, you know? Y'all, you just don't know. Y'all just don't know. Don't assume. Do not ever assume that everything is just going to always be, because you see right now that's just not the case. Okay, so I'm just really serious about that. I'm very, very serious. If you've got children, you need to make sure that take the phone out their hand for an hour and ask them to read. You're going to read. Now put the phone down, okay? Give them a book. Give them something, you know, go do something. Take them to the library. If you don't want to take them to the library, then go to Walmart or something in the little kiddie book sections and get them the little books and work. Okay, you guys, here's the books. Here's y'all books, and we're gonna turn TV out for an hour. And I want you guys to read. And if you have a question, you don't know what a word is, and that's the other thing. Imagine you don't know how to read, and then you've got children, and now they go to school and they've been given a book, and they come to you and they say, "Mom, what's this word?" You don't know. Okay, don't assume the phones will always be there to where they can say, I don't know, go put it in, go type it in. What if they don't know how to do that? I don't know how to do that. And you don't know, you know? There was a really interesting episode of, what do you call it? A Cold Case. It was a TV show called Cold Case, and there was an interesting episode where there was this woman. It was a black woman. She was mixed race, and so here's this white man. He's the milkman, and he secretly had a crush on this mixed race lady, but he was in the truck with this guy who was racist, and so the guy is egging him on to be really ignorant to her, and so the dude, and he does it, you know, and he's getting in her face, and he's doing like this, and he's, you know, just being an ass, and she's looking at him like this, like she wasn't, like what, you know, and he drops the milk there and he walks away, and then she brings the milk in the house and she sees this piece of paper, and she doesn't know how to read. But the little girl that was in the house with her did know how to read. And so she looked over at her and she was embarrassed, you know, but she gave it to her. She said, "What does it say?" And then and the note said, "Please forgive me." You know, and then ultimately there's a romance that takes place between them because and she can't even write. She can't read and she can't write. She was a beautiful young woman. And so she says, "Tell him I said this." And so she put a note in the milk that said, "Why should I?" And so he put a note back. She said, "What does it say?" He said, "Because you're a lady." And this beautiful romance takes place. Imagine yourself in that situation. You can't read, you can't write, but your kid can. And God forbid if your kid is just learning, is just going to school, and they are depending on you to show them something. Okay, because clearly these schools ain't trying to teach your kids for real. You see what I'm saying? Like it's serious. It's very, very serious. Do not discount the importance, the diamond, the jewel, the precious, precious gift of knowing how to read and write really is. Okay, so let's get serious on this. Let's get serious. Parents, let's get serious. Those of you who have aunts, who are in the Black community, and it's even more so. It's even more so. Do it. If you don't want to do it for yourself, do it for the sake of your ancestors, because they sitting down there watching, and they're watching you, and they imagine your ancestor grandmother sitting there looking down at you, and she's got her husband next to her, and she sees that you're just blowing off the idea of education, and her heart is breaking, and she takes her husband's hand, and they looking at you. They're looking at you like what are you doing? Like, why? Like, I'd give anything in the world to be you in your lifetime, in your and with this ability, this unprecedented level of freedom that you have, that your ancestors didn't have. Take that shit serious. It's serious, Okay. Like I said, it's a million reasons why. It's a million reasons why. So yes, let's get serious about this education, okay? When we send our little ones to school, let them know, ask them, I want you to tell me how to say your name. I want you to know how to say your mom's name. I want you to know how to say dad's name. I want you to know how to say your name. I want you to know how to spell it. When you're going in, if you don't know nothing else, you know your name, you know your dad's name, not just mom and dad. Mom's name is Elizabeth. Dad's name is Tony, or John, or you know what I mean? Whatever. So yeah, let's get serious with that. Okay? All right. That's all I wanted to say about that. It just means so much to me because, like I said, for our ancestors, your ancestors would give anything to be you right now. You're blessed beyond measure. Like, really look at that and accept that and see that and say, she's right, we are. Let's not throw away the gift. Let's not piss on the opportunity that our ancestors would have given the world to be able to do. Okay? All right, I'm gonna go. That's this video. I hope you find it interesting. Those corporations, although those people out there, the powers that be, you guys is running this country to the goddamn ground, is pissing me off. Like, and there's the whole world would love to have the blessings and the freedoms that you guys are just ripping and taking, and oh my God, it's blowing my mind. Anyway, like I said, we'll leave that there because I will keep going. I hope you liked it. If you did, hit the like button. If you whatever. I'm gonna go. I will get ready for this next video, which is also interesting. This one's more spiritually related, and we're gonna go deep. Okay. All right. I'm gonna go ahead and go. I will talk to you guys later. I will see you next time on the next video. You guys take care. Bye-bye. Start reading. Stop playing. Start reading. Okay? Don't do it. Don't do this to yourself, and don't do this to your ancestors. Okay? All right. Bye.